Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly. Well, that was good, wasn't it? England 4, Croatia 2. Tuchel's men pressed high, attacked with pace and purpose, especially in the second half. No handbrakes here. The first 45 was one of those, come on boys, games. Harry Kane had 2 goes at a penalty before Croatia scored a beautiful equaliser. Then Kane again, bizarrely unmarked at a corner. But another lovely leveller for Croatia. 2-2, Tuchel not happy. Then Elliot Anderson set Bellingham away and he buried it. England somehow failed to score the 4th despite waves of attack. And they did start to drop deeper, but Tuchel's changes worked and Marcus Rashford put the game beyond doubt. How's Barry's fearometer now? How carried away do we want to get, or will better, younger attacks take advantage of an imperfect defence? The Croatians and Luka Modric, did they look, tired? Also in that group, Ghana, Panama is bad. And then DR Congo, Johan Wissa scores their first ever World Cup goal. They deserved the point against a toothless Portugal. Can anyone think of any way that Roberto Martinez could change things? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone? We'll look ahead to tomorrow's games. Nick Ames went to the GOP convention on his day off. There's more on apples, believe it or not. Your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today in the studio with me in LA, Barry Glendenning, welcome.
Hello, Max.
And hello, Lucy Ward.
Hello, Max.
Very nice to see you. And out in Houston, Nick Ames. Hey, Nick.
Hello, Max. So should that be a howdy?
Yes, the second howdy in a row. We need to learn some more hellos in American vernacular, don't we? But just so you know, we are recording before Uzbekistan, Colombia. So you'll hear about that on tomorrow's pod. But let's begin with the game in Dallas then. England 4, Croatia 2. England 21 shots, 11 on target, an XG of 2.82 against Croatia's 0.71. First time since 2002 that England have beaten a team in the top 15 at a World Cup, ending a 9-game winless run. And it was not without its stresses, Lucy, but it was really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I'll paint the scene now. So I'm out in LA with you, but not with you. Mm-hmm. I'm doing some games for ITV, and we've got our first game tomorrow, Switzerland, Bosnia. So I went to the stadium, got my accreditation, and then walked to a bar full of Bosnians and some Croatians to watch this. Quite a small screen, but I sort of got the gist of what was going on because the Croatians were cheering like mad, and one screen was 5 seconds in front of the other. So that's just an explanation.
Okay, we've got the context.
Okay, so I think first half, defensively, I was a little bit concerned, but I just think that going forward, we just look so accomplished. You know, that you've got Bellingham, who's full of confidence. You've got Kane, who's obviously scoring. But my only worry in the first half was defensively. We looked like we were sort of defending in sort of a zonal defence, but then when Croatia came onto us, we didn't go and engage, and I think that's probably where at least the second goal came from. But other than that, it's 4-2. I think that by the end, when Rashford scored, it was quite comfortable. And we had a lot more shots on target than they did. So in terms of that, we created better chances. So, for initial thoughts, quite pleased with that.
And Nick, it was a brilliant second half, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a fantastic second half performance. I think a lot of the players talking after the game have I think paid tribute to Tuchel's halftime team talk. I gather Anthony Barry came on at halftime on the TV at home and was being quite honest about the pitfalls of the first half performance. And really, they really cut loose. They looked like men possessed. Committing men forward, moving the ball quickly against a Croatia defence that was there to be got at. I watched them play a friendly against Slovenia in Croatia about 10 days ago and have to say that they looked quite porous there. So I'd been really keen to see England really go on the front full throttle at them. And to be fair, they did. And there was only a little spell, maybe around 10-20 minutes to go, where you felt they were dropping off a bit. Pickford made a save or two. But ultimately, the game was made safe. I think they were ruthless when they had to be. And you can quibble about the goals, which were great efforts by Croatia, to be fair. I think for an opening day's work at a World Cup, you can't ask for a lot more than a performance that was genuinely fun, because how often do we see that?
Yeah, it was fun. Barry, you didn't sit on the sofa next to me and Joel because it was too English. You said, how's the fearometer after game one?
It's fine. Like I said yesterday, even if England had lost this game, and I was fairly confident they'd win, it wouldn't have been the end of the world by any stretch of the imagination. I thought in the first half they were good and bad. They got that penalty. Silly foul by Luka Modric. There's no need for that. And that gave England a good start. And then Croatia obviously equalised. Harry Kane put England ahead again with a brilliant header. And I imagine they went in at 2-2, giving away cheap possession. They were making defensive errors. And the 2 goals they conceded, while good goals, were very avoidable. But the second half, they were excellent, really, really impressive. Jude Bellingham was very impressive. He said after the game, "I've got a little bit of a chip on my shoulder." And I said, "Yeah, we know, Jude. You don't have to tell us." But he said, "It's nice to show people what I'm about." And the subs that Thomas Tuchel made, if anything's going to get my nervousometer or fearometer going, it's the proactive substitutions Thomas Tuchel made, because Gareth Southgate, I don't think, would have made that. He'd have settled for 3-2, put the handbrake on, brought on more defenders. But Thomas Tuchel brought on subs and decided to really go for it and put Croatia to the sword, and it worked. I think the 3 or 4 subs he brought on, Morgan Rogers, Jed Spence, Saka and Rashford, all one scored, and the other 3 all played a part in the 4th goal.
Yeah. I mean, Spence looks like he was going 100 miles an hour for the whole thing. George writes, "I thought the way England tried to draw Croatia's players into pressing them high before playing through the gaps left a la Bellingham's goal was disgusting and un-English. Bring back the days of knocking it between centre-backs before knocking it long to a big man, small man combo and scoring 2 goals a tournament." And actually, like the organisation, Lucy, when they got it right in that second half, and even at moments in the first half, I just thought every player seemed to know where they were meant to be, what they were meant to be doing, and when the changes happened, it didn't really affect that.
Yeah, I mean, in the first half, you found Rice and Anderson on the same line, Kane drop in, so that sort of stifles that little bit of creativity as well. I think, you look at John Stones, question whether he would start or not. He's not used to defending at Man City. In fact, I don't even remember the last, I know you've probably talked about this, the last time he played. He just seems to be fit for all the Euros and the World Cup. But yeah, I mean, the thing about the wide players, I mean, he plays this sort of system that 4-2-3-1, and quite a lot of the stuff will go central when you've actually got wide players who, when they got it right in the second half and they hit those spaces, the fullbacks actually came inside in the second half. That affected things. So the fact that he made changes that were not just substitutes but tweaks that actually affected the game, I think against a team as good as Croatia, there are little bits where you when we're playing more elite teams, we'll find the gaps behind the likes of Rice and Anderson. But I think it was fun, it was positive, and we scored 4 goals.
And actually, Nick, that intensity after we went 3-2 up, that 10 minutes, which just felt like a permanent goalmouth scramble in the Croatia goal. It was sort of endless attacking. I don't feel. I don't know if I'm just getting carried away, but I don't think I've felt like that during an England game for a long time, and certainly in a group game.
Yeah, you haven't tended to see those concerted spells of pressure where balls are fizzing across the box and then they're regaining it and piling men forwards again. But there was that spell where the goalkeeper Livakovic resembled an octopus, didn't he? He was here, there, and everywhere across goal. And it's nice to see. It's important too that they went for it, because goal difference can and probably will be important in this group, because I would expect Croatia potentially to beat fairly ordinary Ghana and Panama teams, for example. You want to rack the goals up and go from there, and they didn't sit on their lead. They kept their foot on the throttle. I think Tuchel said afterwards that the players were knackered, absolutely exhausted, and that is the kind of team he likes at the end of a game. And I was quite pleased to hear that. I was pleased that he felt England had run themselves into the ground on day one, and maybe, just maybe, they are reaping the benefits of having gone out earlier than quite a lot of teams to the US to start their preparation. I was talking to the Croatia manager Zlatko Dalic after that game that I referenced when they beat Slovenia 10 or 11 days ago, and you could tell he was he was talking very appreciatively of the fact that England had gone out so early. I got the impression he wished that his FA had given him the wherewithal to do that. So maybe, just maybe, the fact that they've been able to set off at such an intensity and such a pace owes something to that preparation. Now, we'll find out down the line. We'll see if hopefully in 6 or 7 games' time they're still able to operate like that. But at the moment, so far, so good.
Yeah, you mentioned Bellingham, Baz, and so much of the conversation before this was Rodgers or Bellingham. And it felt, I mean, they were both good, but you felt like Bellingham, especially in that second half, really... Well, I thought for the whole game, I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, he was impressive. Thomas Tuchel said it's more or less a coin toss whether he starts Rodgers or Bellingham, and it was interesting that when Rodgers came on, Bellingham dropped back into a more defensive role. His goal was excellent. I think the ball from Elliot Anderson was intended for Noni Madueke, but Bellingham just took over and said, I'll have this. Good turn of speed and precision strike into the corner. But he's a fantastic player. And my only concern about Jude Bellingham is I think he has a questionable attitude, and that quote of his earlier kind of is indicative of that. But he did very well. And who's to say Morgan Rodgers wouldn't have been just as good if he had started?
Yeah. I mean, interestingly, all the players, and maybe they would say, all say that the sort of media portrayal of Bellingham is absolutely nothing like what he is like.
Oh, I've heard a first-hand account of how good a bloke he is from a friend whose son met Bellingham while
Is that your new friend? Yeah. Not the new friend.
From a friend.
I'm saying nothing.
Thank you.
I'm delighted Lucy said that, but I'm saying nothing.
From a friend who met Bellingham with his young son, my friend's young son, who was wearing a West Brom shirt, and right. Jude, feigned contempt for this boy because he was wearing a West Brom shirt.
Kane, the players that that Tuchel has picked, Lucy, to be either side of Kane, it's been all about pace and directness, and you saw a couple of times, especially down the right with Madueke, that really works. In previous tournaments, you've had Foden and Palmer, more technical players, but when Kane dropped it at some point, he was so deep. I think he took it off Pickford in the penalty area. Yeah. But we know Kane can do that, and it just seems so obvious now. Yeah. Have some quick players out there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to have there's nothing wrong with him dropping. That's nothing wrong with that. It's if you haven't got the runners beyond and the quick beyond, particularly in wide areas, then it isn't effective at all. You're not actually, and what it does is encourages the opponents to come onto you if you're going to drop that deep and not have that threat in behind. But I don't think Gordon had his best game, but I do think how positive he is. Madueke's taking his chance. Quite a lot of people talk about him being in the squad, but you can tell the ones that Tuchel likes. And talk about Bellingham and Rodgers. I think the only thing about Bellingham is when England lose possession or when they've not got it, he probably isn't as diligent as Rodgers would be in that 10 position.
But I did see him doing that, really making lots of tackles. And actually, Gordon didn't do a lot offensively. But I mean, it must be very tiring to play against them. And
yes,
it was air conditioned, but actually, you saw the way they were sort of setting traps to press, which looked more organised than I've seen them before. I mean,
that's the word accomplished to me is that there was no there didn't look to be any sort of anxiety. I mean, your point about Bellingham is right, but sometimes when you haven't got it, it's about being in a position rather than chasing after it. That's. But I do think that Rodgers will get the game time, and particularly as we've done so well in the first game, and probably will win the other two that he may spread because the conditions will be different in the next two games.
On England, I can get a bit more reaction from Dallas because I caught up with Jacob Steinberg, who was there in a corridor under the stadium. You're fresh out of Thomas Tuchel's press conference. What did he make of it?
He was happy. He was not so happy with the first half. Felt like England played with a lack of freedom, that they maybe had a psychological block. He felt like perhaps that they wanted it a little bit too much, that they wanted it to, they felt like everything in the camp was good yesterday, good in the hotel in the morning, and then they got to the game and just felt like they played with a lack of freedom, which is something obviously we've seen from England teams so often in the past. He felt like the leads didn't actually give them the freedom that they needed. They kept going backwards. And I think the big takeaway for me from that first half was, obviously like defence just looked really ropey at times. The 2 Croatia goals were lovely, but worrying in the way that they conceded. And I felt, in open play, England didn't look like they had a lot of flow. They pressing, I think, from Croatia surprised them. And then comes the second half, which was obviously well trailed by Anthony Barry on ITV. Quite an astonishingly honest interview from number 2. And then they come out and it's just sensational. Properly the Premier League style, I guess, that we wanted to see from the Tuchel wanted to see. Intense, fast, brave, bold, all those things that he's been asking for his team. He's come into this tournament ever since he got the job. He was talking about how he wanted England to play, in that Premier League style. And for those 20 minutes after Jude Bellingham scored that amazing goal to make it 3-2, that's what we got. And then I just feel, to be honest, it just felt like a little bit like, some people are a little bit more positive than I was. I just felt before the 4th goal, I turned to Dave Heitner in the press box and I said, Croatia are going to score. It looks like they're going to go to 3-3. I don't know if you felt the same, but I thought the Croatia goal was coming. Instead, England have the substitutes or the finishers to actually hit teams on the break.
For the listeners that didn't hear Anthony Barry, what did he say?
Pretty much what Tuchel said. Pretty much on ITV, they did these halftime interviews now, apparently, which I didn't know that they did. But he was saying that they played forward when they should have played back when they should have played forward, complicated it, confused it for themselves, and I think that's pretty much what Tuchel felt as well. Kind of what he came in and said in his press conference. But he told them I don't think it's, by the sounds of it, doesn't sound like he actually ripped into them in the dressing room. What he told them to do in the dressing room was to just be courageous, go out there and show yourselves and show the world what you can do. And I guess there will be teams who probably will look at this and go, oh my God, this is one of the best attacks in the World Cup. There are probably a lot of teams who might look at it, or some of those top sides who will look at it and go, that's a defence that we can get at. So those are the 2 things. The other worry, I guess, is that Declan Rice going off on 65 minutes with Tuchel saying that he'd have pain in his lower back, upper hamstring, couldn't take the risk. Very unusual to see Declan Rice go off when England are defending and lead with 25 minutes to go. That's a worry. And I think that might have played into perhaps some of the structural problems they had in midfield between him, Anderson and Bellingham. A fit Rice, maybe there's not so much space for Croatia. The good thing is, obviously, they've got 6 days till the next game. If they win that, then they probably can rest people against Panama. Positive as well, Saka coming off the bench to make the goal, given the issues that we've had with him. I just do come back to that defence, though. And, John Stones on that first goal, Ezri Konsa on the second goal was maybe not so great. Are we going to get to a point where we do need to get Mark Gahey back into the side?
What was the atmosphere like?
It's an absolutely incredible stadium, the Dallas Stadium. It's got this enormous screen. I sat down next to Barney, he was here for the Holland game, wasn't he? And in his match report, he wrote about this screen, and you sit down and go, oh my God, you can't take your eyes off it. When they do the introductions for the players, they sort of look like they're about to jump out of the screen, like sort of hologram around the place. It's amazing. So it's one of the best. I think it's the best stadium that I've ever been to for anything. But apparently the SoFi is better. So maybe if we ever get there, well, I don't know how that can be better than this one. Atmosphere was good. I mean, the problem with these stadiums is that because they're built for NFL, the press boxes are behind glass. But in this one, sometimes you can't hear anything. In this one, you really could. And the atmosphere was good. The Croatia fans, it looked like they had a lot of people here. A lot of Croatia shirts. England, I think, outnumbered them. A lot of good vibes outside the ground beforehand. So, it's a positive day all in, I think, for England. And I would imagine Croatia get through the group. Probably in second place. I mean, I've not seen how Ghana play, but they are a dangerous team. I mean, that first game against Croatia is probably about as tough as you could get it for England.
In a group game, yeah. And just one on you were behind glass, so because a lot was made that the press was good for England, actually Croatia as well, but it was an aircon stadium, so that is very different. Was it cold for the players, do you think?
I don't think it was cold. I mean, it's set to 22 degrees, I think, was what it was set at. I mean, that's the slight worry for England, isn't it? That they've obviously gone and conceded 2 goals and been slightly ragged in an aircon stadium. They're going to be playing, maybe if everything goes as expected, Brazil in Miami in the sun and everything. So we don't know exactly how England are going to fare in the heat when that comes without a roof. And again, the defending and the way that they were without the ball in the first half, that will be another concern as well. Again, there'll be a lot of teams who'll look at how England's played on the break, and they'll be really worried about. They'll be worried about coming out against those forwards.
Thank you, Jacob. I hope you make it out of the corridor that you scurried
There's
down.
a lift. There's a lift. It's
okay.
There are 2 lifts behind me, but it was packed with many journalists. So
All right.
yeah,
You're safe.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Cheers, pal.
Thank you.
Jacob Steinberg there. Lots of people got in touch with me, Barry, during this game to say, is Luka Modric tired? And maybe he did, finally, after 8 years since I first thought that the Croatians did look a bit tired and leggy in this game, him especially.
He didn't have a good game. He gave away that penalty. He was pretty ineffective in midfield, but he certainly didn't impress today. Perisic, his fellow pensioner, his header to set up the second Croatian goal was
I mean, they don't age. They don't
sublime.
age, do they? I mean, I know you're talking about him sort of, but he is sort of, a pensioner for a footballer, isn't he? But they just age very, very well, the Croatians, and Perisic is certainly one of those.
Yeah, it was a great little header, wasn't it? Also in this group, Ghana won, Panama 0. Nick, you watched the whole game except for the 95th minute.
It's because I was coming upstairs very professionally to prepare for this podcast, Max, and I therefore did miss the goal. It was attritional. Ghana were very much missing Mohamed Kudus. He's obviously injured for the tournament. They came to life a bit more in the second half. Got Semenyo into the game a little bit more. Panama didn't recreate a lot. Basically, not that much happened until the thing that happened that I didn't see.
We did see that last minute, Barry, and actually the three of us got quite engaged for the minutes after that.
Yeah, I saw that the last, I think it went to 101 minutes, this game. I was fortunate enough to see almost all of them. It was a terrible game, and it's no great surprise because Ghana are managed by Carlos Queiroz, who is just Mr. Pragmatism, and what I think Semenyo had something like 4 touches in the opposition box. It might have been just 4 touches in the first half, but he was starved of service. So Jordan Ayew was subsequently starved of service. But the game sort of sparked into something resembling life around the 60th minute, and then when Ghana scored the late goal, I'm gutted for Panama because they showed more ambition than Ghana for most of this game, and to go down to that late sucker punch was heartbreaking for them. But after they went a goal down, they knew, like, if we lose this, we're pretty much out. We're out of the competition, even though it's only the first game. So they very much threw the kitchen sink at Ghana. They had their goalkeeper coming up for a late corner free kick. He actually got his head to the corner, knocked it down, and one of his teammates, just the header was way too soft straight into the keeper's arms.
I mean, their kickoff was a bit like American football. It was like the NFL, wasn't it? It was like it was like a punt, and then off they go.
Well, 10 players lined across the halfway
and then the
line
referee brought it back as well for the first one. Oh, my word! But then we were all engaged because we were all then stood in front. I don't know how you watched 101 minutes because when I came in, you were facing a 90-degree angle to the television.
He watches separately to us.
Does he? Why?
Yeah, I don't know, with his
What's with
AirPods
you?
in. We watched on the TV.
What were you watching? Was you watching it on the laptop?
I was watching the English coverage on
ITV.
Yes. What did you think I was watching?
I didn't know.
Midsummer Murders. So.
There's every chance. It would have been better. Like a 20-minute review of that game would have been better. Anyway, that'll do for part 1. Part 2, we'll do DR Congo's brilliant draw against Portugal. Hi, Pod fans. Max here. Barry's here too.
Hello.
This episode is supported by Apple Sports. The biggest tournament in football is finally here. 48 teams, 104 matches, and to make sure you never miss a single moment of the action on the pitch, you need the Apple Sports app.
Tell me more, Max.
Well, Barry, it's a free app that fits into your everyday life, making it easy to follow your favourite teams and get all the information you need as matches unfold.
Sounds good to me.
There's a main tournament tab that bundles everything together, live scores, stats, points and rankings all in one spot. You can even view starting lineups and team formations before the game start. And as the tournament starts to heat up, you can track the bracket to see each team's exact path to the final. And if you're on the move, you can display live scores right on your iPhone lock screen to keep up with your favourite teams in just a glance. Download Apple Sports for free on the App Store for a fast and simple way to follow your favourite teams all tournament long. Welcome to part 2 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So Portugal 1, DR Congo 1. Nick, you're out in Houston. You were at this game. Before we get onto the obvious Ronaldo bit, can we at least start with DR Congo? Because what was that moment like when they scored their first ever World Cup goal?
DR Congo were fantastic. I think it's important to say, a bit like Cape Verde, but even more so, that this is a team that are no mugs. They've played together well. A lot of them, they've got a lot of Premier League experience in players like Asor Twanzebe. You've got Chancel Mbemba in there. You've got Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who played very well down the right. You've got Johan Wisser, who headed in that equaliser from an in-swinging Arthur Masuaku cross, by the way. He rose and thundered this header in right on the stroke of half time, and all the little blue pockets of DR Congo fans, because this stadium was mainly full of people in red Ronaldo 7 shirts with Texan accents, I have to say. But there were these little pockets of DR Congo fans in light blue, and it was really nice, partly because I think some of the backdrop to their preparation has been covered, but they had to spend 21 days in a bubble preparing in Belgium before they came to the US because of the devastating Ebola outbreak back in their home country, and some of their staff had come directly from there. So their preparation hadn't been ideal. One of their friendlies was cancelled as a result. They came over, they're actually based in Houston. I was there when they were greeted at the airport last week, as they arrived just after me, and it was a really lovely moment with various fans and volunteers there. But their own fans basically can't afford to come over from DR Congo and quarantine for 3 weeks. It would just be impractical logistically and financially. So to see that goal go in, to see the supporters who were there, who were mainly expats, have that moment, and then to hear all of the dedications afterwards to the fans back home who follow their country very passionately. It was a wonderful moment because of course they haven't qualified for a World Cup since as Zaire in 1974, which went a bit disastrously. So this was a good moment, and it was also a moment that, you know, we can romanticise these teams a bit, but they're a serious team. They're very well coached by Sebastian de Sabre. As I say, a lot of experience, a bit of flair in there, and unlike their opposition, they had in Cedric Bakambu a veteran centre-forward who could move and link the play and get some shots away and generally cause quite a lot of trouble. So no, I enjoy watching them play. I expect more from them. I think there's a good chance they make the next round now, and it wouldn't be an accident. They're a good side.
Yeah, and actually, I was really impressed how they moved the ball. You talk about pockets of DR Congo fans. There's an amazing video of this. I think it's a fan park somewhere in the States. It almost could be in Lisbon, because it is just like thousands of Portugal fans, and there's 10 DR Congo fans dancing away when they score. There were brilliant scenes in Kinshasa and in North London as well, Lucy.
I mean, looking at the stats from it, they had a similar amount of shots, but the quality of the chances that DR Congo had were better than Portugal. So that's no fluke. The draw is no fluke, and like Nick says, they obviously are at that sort of level, and Portugal will be disappointed, as Spain were. You know, there's a few teams that have been disappointed.
Ryan says, who moved least during the 90 minutes, Ronaldo or the DR Congo statue man? Ian saying, nice of Ronaldo to honour his suspension by doing fuck all. Look, you're in the stadium, Nick, and presumably you're watching Ronaldo quite a lot. What did you make of his performance?
Crowd really enjoyed his first contribution, which was a square pass to João Cancelo in midfield. They couldn't get enough of anything he did, to be honest. But I have to say, he just didn't do enough. Roberto Martinez came out afterwards and he had his excuses/reasons ready for why that didn't happen. The ball wasn't progressed down the wings enough, the cutbacks weren't there, that kind of thing. And in the second half, there was a couple of cutbacks from a substitute, Conceição, who added a bit of directness down the right, and one was a bit behind Ronaldo. One he couldn't quite adjust his body, and he put them wide. They weren't sitters; they were kind of half to a quarter chances. But really, it was a slow and slightly pedestrian performance from Portugal, who should have built on the platform of the early goal from João Neves, and I just don't think it helped to have a what is now a human void up top. It's very hard to justify. And then even with 7 minutes to go, you see Gonzalo Ramos stripped and ready to go. And I remember being at the game with Switzerland in Qatar in 2022 when they actually dropped Ronaldo and put Ramos in. He goes and scores 3 and they win 6-1. And I think, okay, maybe Ramos is coming on for Ronaldo again. And instead he brings off João Felix and Ronaldo gets for 90 minutes or 98 minutes and whatever it was. And I know he can pop up with a goal from a header and a set piece these days, and that's most of what he's got. And I know Portugal were looking for a winner, but there is just scant justification for it. It's mind blowing, and I think I don't know, a lot of positivity has been around Portugal before this tournament. Generally, the midfield, especially, is on paper probably the best first choice midfield anyone's got, but it was all very, very laboured today, and I just wonder whether that was partly because you can't play through the middle and play in behind when Ronaldo is your number 9 now. You're having to try and go around the sides, and if that's not working, what have you got? And the answer was not much. And it's absolutely true that what clear chances there were once the score got to 1-1 really fell to DR Congo. So look, I've got no doubt that Ronaldo starts against Uzbekistan in 6 days' time. I think it's probably a fair chance he scores in that game, frankly, because I'm not sure Uzbekistan are going to keep Portugal out. But I do not see how you can get to the end of a tournament with that guy up top at the moment. It was baffling to see him out there.
It's interesting that in a fairer world, Cristiano Ronaldo would have been suspended for this game and Portugal's second, because he got a 3-match ban for elbowing, was it Darragh O'Shea or Nathan Collins in the face when Portugal played Ireland. 2 of the games were weirdly suspended, so he served his 1-match ban in the final group game against Armenia, I think it was. So he should be suspended for this and the next game. That, I'd say, would benefit Portugal no end, but FIFA, in an act of what looks like blatant favouritism or obsequiousness towards Ronaldo, suspended 2 games of the ban. We knew this was going to happen, right? And everyone knew this was going to happen. You don't have to be some soothsayer to predict this was going. What worried me is Vitinha and Bruno Fernandes were really poor in this game. And I'm wondering, are they poor because Ronaldo's there? Is his presence causing them to play badly? Or did they just play badly and would have played badly whoever was up top? Sure. I don't know the answers to that question.
And if there's sort of cowardice from Roberto Martinez.
Well,
he's too nice, Roberto Martinez. They needed someone with a little bit more backbone. I think he's just a nice guy.
But what he's doing is negligence. He did the same, like he squandered Belgium's golden generation, and now he's going to do the same with Portugal.
Well, everyone needs a thing, and that's his thing. Give me a golden generation,
and I'll ruin it. He seems like a good guy, but he's just gutless.
All right, that'll do for part 2. A reminder that we've got live shows in September. Vicar Street in Dublin on the 1st, the Soho Theatre, Walthamstow on the 8th. Please buy your tickets and sell out so I don't need to spend hours on Blue Sky or Instagram trying to sell them. Guardian.co.uk/Football Weekly Live. If you'd like to come, it would be lovely to see you, and we'll be back in a second. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So look, we recorded before Austria-Jordan, and you and I, Barry, watched some of this in the bar down the road, and the first Austrian goal was excellent, and the scenes when Jordan scored were also great, and that's all I've got on this game.
Yeah, Romano Schmid scored with an absolute surface-to-air screamer for Austria into the top corner, rocket from nowhere, and a real wonder strike to give Austria the lead. Jordan equalised. Ali Olwen was sent on his way up the left wing, cuts inside, curls one inside the far post, another brilliant goal. And then Marko Arnautovic scrambled one home from a corner. There was a handball in the build-up, so that was ruled out, much to Mr. Arnautovic's disgust. He argued for so long with the referee. And I mean, it was a handball.
Yeah.
It was a blatant handball. But Austria went ahead from another corner. I think the ball bounced in off the back of a Jordanian defender, and Arnautovic got his goal in the end, scored a penalty for one of those handballs that you're not so keen on, Max.
I'm not so
Defender
keen on.
diving in to stop
Yeah.
a cross, ball hits his
I think
hand.
he did lift his hand a bit, but maybe if Arnautovic hadn't argued so much, he wouldn't have had the 12 minutes of extra time to score his penalty. Tomorrow then, Czechia, South Africa, Mexico, South Korea. Mexico, South Korea, the pick of the games probably. They're both on 3 points, so a win for one of those gives them control of that group. Switzerland, Bosnia, Herzegovina and Canada, Qatar. Everyone's on 1 point. Lucy, you're at the Switzerland, Bosnia, Herzegovina
Yeah,
game.
so Switzerland Switzerland were pegged back, weren't they, by Qatar. Bosnia did really well against Canada. Bosnia, big, strong, set pieces, actually did really well, but tired towards the end of the game. It's like a greenhouse in the LA stadium because with the roof shut. So it would be interesting. Switzerland need to be better. I know that Granit Xhaka has had a go at the subs that came on. Basically saying we're a team. It's not about being wonderful. It's about coming on and being effective for the team. Because they were obviously leading 1-0 right to the end. So it's quite an important game because both under pressure now. Switzerland in particular because of the favourites in this group. So I'm looking forward to it. My first game actually in a stadium. I've done 3 off tube, so I'm looking forward to it.
Nick, you had a day off the other day. You're in Texas and you decided to go to the GOP convention. Now, I know a lot of our listeners are full MAGA, so they'll be very interested to hear how that went.
Yeah, how else would you spend your free time? It turned into almost a day and a half, very much not off. I arrived in Houston and went for a little walk just to acclimatise downtown, get the World Cup vibes, and walked past this big convention centre and realised it was the Texas Republican Party convention taking place at the same time as the start of the World Cup, and I thought, well, I'm sure if I walk in, they'll be very happy to give accreditation to a left-leaning newspaper and a football journalist from the UK who works for it. So I went up, and in fairness, I'm very, very obliging, very, very lovely. Let me in, and then I had freedom to roam, and I came out with a piece, sort of trying to work out whether the World Cup had landed with any of these people who were quite hardcore grassroots activists, it's fair to say. So, spoiler, the World Cup hadn't really landed with many of them whatsoever. But what did land with me was what I saw in the main hall very soon after I got in. I walked in, the world was my oyster. I sat down among these 5,000 baying GOP members from Texas, and the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is up there giving a speech for 25 minutes, half an hour, but liberal woke agenda, yada yada, the usual, sort of setting out a prospectus for governing Texas in the next election cycle, that kind of thing, and so at the end, everyone's up on their feet, applauding. He's kissing his wife, that kind of thing. And you think, okay, well, that was that. Who's on next? And then over the speakers, someone said, and we've got a very special guest for you guys now. And you're like, oh, who's this? And then suddenly they bring out an elephant, a real elephant, onto the stage.
Right.
And the elephant is wearing, like, it's cloaked in a white jumper with one of their campaign slogans on it. And I thought, okay, well, that is, you do a quadruple take, and nobody in the room is expecting this at all. Like, honestly, the elephant is a long-running symbol for the Republican Party, by the way. And then you think this can't get weirder, and then they lead it down the gangway in the middle of the hall that is separating the 5,000 guests. So everyone's rushing to the gangway. And the elephant is being led. It's got like a SWAT team around it and everything, and it walks past, and then about halfway up, the elephant pauses in the middle of the room. The door's still about 100 metres away. It's a massive hall. It pauses and just urinates in the middle of the floor. Just stands there and relieves itself right in the middle of a convention hall, and then in its own good time makes its way up the end and out the door. And I gather it was posing for selfies later in this exhibition hall they had around the corner. So I mean, as you can say it's a metaphor for this, that, the other. I'm not going to go there. But as welcomes to the World Cup go, that was something.
It's nice. Yeah. You've seen one of the big five.
Yeah, exactly. World Cup safari, and I had lots of interesting conversations with people during my time at the event. It was very educational, not in necessarily good ways. I'm not going to go here into all the things I saw and heard, but it was certainly an interesting welcome to one side of residing in Texas for a bit and covering a World Cup. So I did write about it. The piece is still on the website, but the elephant was. I kind of feel I've peaked too soon in this tournament, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, good luck seeing, what's next. Hippo. Is Hippo in the big five? I know Rhino is. Maybe leopard. I'm not sure. I don't know. Tiger's in it. No, Tiger's not in it. Anyway, Jamie says on the subject of eating apples with a penknife, of course. Hi, or when we were teenagers, my brother and I had season tickets at Easter Road. Hibbies. Every week at half-time, the elderly man who sat behind us would take out an apple and penknife, would slice small pieces in the same manner as Barry's dad, and eat the apple for the remainder of the half. He also wore homemade-looking purple gloves in rain or snow or thunderstorms. Kind regards, Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. And can I just say hello to Mario Melchiot, who turned up to record one of our rival podcasts in LA, listening to the Guardian Football Weekly. So, Mario, you're very welcome. And we're in LA. Come and say hi. Yeah. He's a lovely, lovely man. And that'll do for today. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you, Max.
Cheers, Lucy.
Cheers, boys.
Thanks, Baz.
Thank you.
We'd love your emails, please, especially sort of mildly amusing ones to finish the pod. footballweekly@theguardian.com. This podcast is produced by Rory Simon and Matt Bentley-Viney. Our executive producer is Joel Grove, and we'll be back tomorrow.